that afternoon we were going to swimming baths with school, and as usual me and Shannon paired up together straight away. When that was over, we got on the coach back together. Once we got off the coach, something didn't seem right, because her mum told her brother was picking her up that day after school, but he never showed up. Normally if she sends one of the kids to pick Shannon up from school, they'd be waiting outside the gates before we even got there, but there was no one there. That was literally the last time I saw her.
The first thing that goes through your head, if your daughter's missing, is who's got her?
Literally, from the moment she'd walked out of those school gates, there was not one positive sighting.
How can Shannon go missing on a estate like that when everybody knows each other?
Hundreds of police are involved in a desperate search tonight.
There were lots of people on the sex offenders register who not only had direct links to Shannon's family, but also lived in close proximity.
But is it true?
Shannon, if you're out there, please darling, come home. I love you so much. Me and your dad, your brothers, your sisters, everybody loves you. Your dad's missing you so much, Shannon. He's even out looking for you. Please come home, Shannon. If you're out there, come home. If anybody's got my daughter, my beautiful princess daughter, please bring her home safe.
There's been a lot of coverage of not least your family, your parents and your brother, talking about how Shannon had a difficult, and your other children had a difficult relationship with Craig.
No, that's untrue.
I'm quoting your parents: "We've never seen him, Craig, beat Shannon with our own eyes, but the kids have said it's happened." They've suggested that Craig was hitting Shannon.
No, look, he hasn't. Never, ever touched her. Never.
Craig, Karen's parents say that they've been trying to persuade Karen to leave you because they say that ever since you've been around the last 4 years that the children have been unhappy. They say there've been a whole series of family bust-ups. And people are going to wonder if there's a very deliberate reason why they are coming out and saying this so deliberately 3 weeks after Shannon disappeared.
Well, basically that's all lies.
When I heard that interview, I thought this is all getting a bit suspicious. Something's not right, is it? I just think something's going on in those four walls. It's not right.
The first amount that the son offered was £20,000. Now that is a lot of money and would focus minds. And it was really good that the son did do that because mass readership, mass circulation, it could only have really pushed the message out there.
Craig and Karen were enjoying leading the way on the marches, they were leading the searches. But I felt that there was just something wasn't right. There was an almost enjoyment of coming out to the camera bulbs, to the television cameras.
There was a change of mood towards Karen and Craig. People started questioning their lifestyle and their sincerity. Karen was beginning to put out comments which were plucked from nowhere, like suggesting that it may be someone that knew her or she knew who had involvement in this, almost as though she was laying a trail. The media were becoming suspicious.
What we do know is that on the estate, the people closest to her, those that were supporting her in the search, they were starting to have their suspicions. But it was because they were seeing more of the behind closed doors Karen than the public face of Karen.
Christine Freeman, one of the family liaison officers, was a little bit concerned about some inconsistencies in the things that Karen explained and kept changing her mind. A lot of that was around the fact that Karen seemed unconcerned about her daughter's disappearance. She seemed unconcerned about the progress of the investigation. It was ringing a few alarm bells. The officers did report to me one particular occasion where TV news teams were outside the house, filming the house. It was a live feed and they were watching themselves on the TV and laughing about it. All rather bizarre behaviour for someone that's lost the 9-year-old daughter. I have no idea where she is. They did raise suspicions in my mind that she had some idea of what had happened to Shannon. But at that time, there was absolutely nothing to link her to Shannon's disappearance.
The Sun offered a £50,000 reward.
The question is, was that the moment when the reward money reached £50,000, the moment that Karen Matthews had been waiting and praying for? The coverage of the search for Shannon, for whatever reason, dropped off a cliff from the national perspective.
Everybody was aware of the Madeleine McCann abduction, and everybody was aware of the fact that obviously it was very, very high profile.
It's hard to describe how utterly despairing it was to be named our Guido and subsequently portrayed in the media as suspects in our own daughter's abduction.
I spoke to Craig and Karen about this, and Karen, very uncharitably, I thought, came out with this line about the McCanns. We are nothing like them. They are snobs, they are celebrities, they have all the money. Some money being expressly mentioned. And it just came across as harsh. It almost felt an ugly thing to say. I mean, mother to mother? Is that what she should be coming out with? Should she be mentioning the money? Of course she shouldn't.
There was quite a large fund that had been set up to assist in the search for Madeleine McCann. I heard that there was somebody within the Matthews family had approached the McCann fund or foundation for money.
I understand it had come from a telephone call within the Matthews family home. We don't know who made the call. And a discussion of providing some sort of financial assistance had made it relatively high up the chain of command within the trust around the McCanns.
I think they were suspicious of the nature of the approach, and to my knowledge, no money was given. It did suggest that people were being money motivated by this, were trying to make money on the back of Shannon's fate.
I drove down there expecting Craig to be at the house. Knocked on the door, but there was no answer. And then I knew that the door was normally open. I very carefully opened the door, and then the most astonishing thing, Karen jumped out from behind the door, tickled me from behind, and shouted boo. And I remember being completely bewildered and thinking, this is crazy. I've come round here to organise an interview to carry on the publicity for the search for your missing child, and you're playing weird games of hide and seek and jumping out and tickling me, even though you barely know me. That should have been a huge, huge alarm bell for me.
We realised we were dealing with a dysfunctional family. Karen Matthews' lifestyle involved sort of smoking, watching TV, computer games. It just didn't seem to be the kind of house where a child's interests were at the fore.
When we started to find out more about Karen's background, we found out that she had 7 children. Karen herself was one of 7. She had come from a solidly working class family, lived in the Batley and Dewsbury area. Her dad worked in a local biscuit factory, big employer in the area. We also found out that Karen had a difficult relationship with her parents and had become separated or estranged from them at a relatively early age. Life had not been easy for her. She'd had a tough time of it.
We found that Shannon and one of her siblings were put on the at-risk register in 2002 by social services. They looked into the case and found what they called low-level neglect. Children being allowed to go out on their own and stay in the house unsupervised. But it would have been insufficient for care orders to be imposed on Shannon and her sibling. It did raise questions about the welfare of the children. And It made us realise that it was a chaotic lifestyle that Shannon had.
It did concern me that Karen might have neglected the children, and that's why I kept a close eye on the children to make sure that they was okay. And there wasn't no sign of neglect, but I didn't get in the house, so I didn't know what was happening in the house. That were always going through my mind about the neglect of the children. But I worked with the school as well, and if the child started acting different, or went to school a bit dirty or upset or something, the school would tell me, and I would just walk past the house. And a lot of the houses, I could go knock on the door and the parents would be all right with me, but Karen, I couldn't knock on her door because she wouldn't speak to me, and she just didn't like me because of what my job was.
He was obviously keen to speak to us. A little bit agitated, to be fair.
He says, I don't want to get anybody into trouble, but has anybody spoken to Paul Drake?
And I said, well, who is he?
He's Craig Meehan's uncle.
Well, you might not know him as Paul Drake. He's actually changed his name to Michael Donovan.
He's a bit of a fantasist and likes to change his name. And then he said to me, he says, it's just that he normally comes here nearly every day to visit. And since that little girl went missing, he's not been once.
Michael Donovan was aged in his 30s, although he looked to be much older than that. His real name was Paul Drake. He was the brother to Craig Meehan's mother, Alice. It was understood that he changed his name to Michael Donovan, or Mick Donovan, as he was known, after a character in a hugely popular 1980s science fiction series called V. Apparently people used to bully him because of his name, Paul Drake. And he became obsessed with the series, and the lead character, this Michael Donovan, was a really strong character, so changed his name to Michael Donovan.
The gentleman told us that he'd been at a funeral gathering, and at that gathering he told us that he'd seen Shannon sitting on the knee of Paul Drake, Michael Donovan. It just felt as though a little bit too intimate to be comfortable with, really. It was showing her a lot of comfort and affection, if you like, sitting on his knee.
Michael Donovan, he didn't feature anywhere on the extended family tree that was posted up in the incident room. He'd never been mentioned by anybody.
Located the door, banged on that, no response. So our initial thoughts were, well, doesn't look as though anybody's here.
So we knocked on an address directly at the side of the address that we were interested in. We spoke to a lady occupant there who told us that he didn't actually use that door, and that if Michael was in, he wouldn't answer the door in any event, because he didn't answer the door to anybody. So armed with that information, Nick went to speak to the other side.
A lady confirmed that Michael Donovan would never answer his door to anybody. So I said, why is that then? She said, he just won't answer his door. I said, well, is he in? Do you know if he's in? And she said, well, is his car there? I said, I don't know which is his car. So she says, he's got a Peugeot parked down here. She said, well, if his car's there, he's in. He's definitely in. And he never goes anywhere without he takes that car. I said to her, I says, have you heard him moving about then? She says, oh yes. I said, well, when? She said, well, not long before you got here. I said, have you heard anybody else moving about there? She says, oh yeah. I says, so you've heard somebody else moving up? Yeah, oh. She says, I don't know, I've just heard the sound of tiny footsteps of a toddler. I called Paul over. We just looked at each other. I said, Paul, we need to get in here. Then it's began to dawn on me. He knows now that we're here, and he knows we're trying to get in. The fear then arises that if she is in there, is he going to harm her?
I walked up the flight of stairs. I found another door that was locked. No door handle, no lock. It was clearly bolted from the inside. So I told them to put the door in. We just stood for a moment and the flat was eerily silent. I did a quick cursory look round the flat to discover it was empty. There's deathly silence. And then I heard a little girl's voice. She said, "Stop it. You're frightening me now." I knew the voice had come from within the room. I couldn't work out where it was coming from. And then there was some noises from within the double bed base. We had her. She was alive. It was very emotional, I have to say. As I'm descending the stairs with Shannon, Nick came up. I've got her.
It's no secret, you know, grisly old detectives with tears in their eyes, basically. As I say, we thought we'd saved a life.
It was unbelievable because, as I said, we thought we were looking for a little girl's body, and she was alive and well. She looked fit and well, but she looked absolutely worn out, washed out, bewildered, just lost, really. She'd clearly been through a lot in those 3 weeks, and you could see it in her face. I asked her where Michael was. I said, "Where's Mike?" She says, "He's where I was. He's under the bed."
My Nokia phone was ringing in my top pocket. I answered the phone and it was Paul. He said, "He's under the bed." Michael Donovan was dragged out from beneath what was in effect 2 beds together to make a double bed. It wasn't apparent then there was a hole between them. He was struggling, he was angry, he was annoyed. He was escorted from the premises. I said to the team, I said, "Right, you can lock it down now. It's now a crime scene." I joined Paul outside. Shannon was sitting on the back seat. She was shivering, obviously cold.
She was sat on a pile of evidence bags on the back seat, looking a little bit bewildered. We just sat and looked at one another. We couldn't believe that we'd found this little girl.
I don't think I'm speaking out of turn when I say that nobody on that inquiry team expected to find Shannon alive.
I got a call from DC Kettlewell, quite excited, and explained that he'd found Shannon Matthews. And I says, "You're having me on?" He says, "It's true, she's sat here with me in the car." And he says, "Look, I'll put her on the phone." And I spoke to Shannon on the phone. I was completely gobsmacked at that time. I just couldn't believe what had happened. Composed myself after a few moments, and I said, "Right, just get her down here to Dewsbury Police Station." When Shannon was recovered, the family liaison officers weren't with Karen, so they went immediately to pick her up at home and brought her down to the police station at Dewsbury.
We're just waiting, love. Do you want to come down to community house? I got a text message from a lad at college saying that I heard they found that girl about the car. We don't know, we haven't heard it official.
It's not official.
I'll try ringing that.
I got a phone call.
Hello?
And somebody says to me, I'm in Asda, and everybody's saying in Asda that she's been found.
It's going round Asda. It's got to be true.
So I rung the police.
It's going round left hand saying you found Shannon at Batley car.
Let's spend Julie's on the phone now trying to find her.
Right, that's fine, love, that's fine. You've just answered it in a breath.
What?
True?
What?
When I rung up earlier on,
Yeah, go on.
the woman said, not to my knowledge, didn't she?
Yeah.
He's just turned around and said, I can't confirm nothing.
Possibility.
What's the rumor then? Where is it?
And then I got another phone call.
But is it true? It's true!
Overwhelmed, really. So much mixed emotions.
Oh, come on.
Come on, baby.
Well, it was like a dream, wasn't it? Because at the end of the day, this kid had been found, but she'd also, not only had she been found, she'd been found alive and well. So it was like, you know, triple relief, if you like. Then you sort of like through your head, is she all right? Yes, she was all right. We found out she was all right, which was more relief.
I found her. Yeah. Alive and well in back the car.
Absolutely astonishing. And my emotion was nothing to what the people in that community house must have been going through, who put everything into finding that little girl.
When I got back from school, my mum was still crying. So God knows how long she'd been crying for. She'd been so stressed and it was just like she could breathe. Like, she's been found, she's alive.
It was almost like a dream, driving to Dewsbury Police Station to deliver Shannon to my colleagues, to say, we've done it, as a team. We parked the car up. Then we walked across the police station yard, holding Shannon's hand, and they were literally hanging out the windows to look. Everybody was trying to keep it low key, but people just couldn't resist coming to have a little peek at Shannon.
To say the atmosphere was euphoric within the station is just almost an understatement. It was such a massive relief. People were hugging, there were people in tears. We were all very emotional, but delighted to see her back. And it was probably one of the most surreal moments in my police service. I'd never, ever expected to see that poor girl, if I'm brutally honest with you.
We had to get Shannon identified, formally identified, and the person to do that was Karen. I had the task of carrying out the formal identification.
We'd made a decision that she'd just be allowed to see her behind glass.
We used the identification suite in the Dewsbury police station, which had a one-way mirror.
Shannon obviously was regarded effectively as a crime scene.
If there was any contact between Karen and Shannon at that time, we would have what we call cross-contamination. I asked her a straight question, is this Shannon? Which she said, yes. And that was it.
She showed little or no reaction. She didn't ask why she was not been allowed to see or hug or kiss her daughter. She didn't ask any questions about Shannon's welfare.
Shannon had been missing now for those 24 days, not knowing, how she was.
She seemed pretty much as she had through the investigation, detached, no emotion shown whatsoever, little concern for Shannon. And it obviously left the officers in a state of shock, really.
We found out through a person that came down to the community house and said that she was found at Craig's uncle's. I think if she hadn't have been found where she was found, I don't think we'd have batted an eyelid, but when it's a family member, something's not right somewhere. everybody were just saying, oh, I wonder what's going to happen now.
Unbelievable. Michael Donovan was the uncle of Shannon's stepdad, Craig. Michael Donovan had never been mentioned by anybody. And there'd been myriad conversations about all sorts of things, including the different members of the respective families, just in conversation. So when we found out that this was the name of the man that Shannon had been found to be staying with for all that time, and then we found out that he was a relative of the Meehan family, nobody could believe it. Nobody had ever even heard of him before.
Both Karen Matthews, when she'd been spoken to, and certainly some of the Meehan family had not mentioned him at all. It was almost as though he didn't exist.
Michael Donovan, he lived alone. He had learning difficulties, we discovered, and this followed an accident he'd been involved in on the M62. There was some suggestion he'd worked in IT or something similar, but the picture we picked up of him from his neighbours in Batley Car, that he was a bit of a loner, and his pride and joy was his silver Peugeot, and he spent a lot of time cleaning that and working on it. One of the problems we had was that the initial name we were given for him was Paul Drake, but he changed his name by deed poll, and the name he chose was Michael Donovan, a character from a 1980s science fiction series called V. What they were suspicious about was that Donovan was there bouncing Shannon on his knee with Karen in close proximity, and it just didn't seem right.
It just felt as though they a little bit too intimate to be comfortable with, really. It was showing her a lot of comfort and affection, if you like, sitting on his knee. It's possible that Shannon wasn't even aware that she was a victim. I mean, she's a 9-year-old child, he's an adult, you know, she does know him, it's not as though he's a complete stranger. She'd been sitting on his knee at the family funeral. I think it's more likely that when Donovan picked her up from outside school on that afternoon, that she just thought Uncle Michael had come to pick her up.
When Michael Donovan was arrested, he shouted out to the officers, "Get Karen down here. She's in it with me."
He was very quick to tell the police that it was a plot between him and Karen, and it was to extort £50,000 reward. Once the reward money was on offer, he was going to take her to Dewsbury Market, walk round in the sight of CCTV to show he was with her, and he was going to claim that he'd just discovered her walking around, and then they would go and say, we've discovered her, let's have the reward money.
What was interesting was he refused to speak. While he was interviewed by the police, he sat there and let his lawyer, his solicitor, do the talking for him.
She said I was to keep Shannon and look after her, and she, Karen, would report her missing. I said, what do I do then? She said, you'll take her back to your place and keep her there until I phone you. I said I wasn't happy about this, and she then threatened, if I didn't do it, to get 3 lads onto me. And I was frightened that if I didn't do it, they would come after me. She told me just to do what she said. She said if I told anyone, or I went to anyone, I would be dead.
He claimed he was coerced into this by Karen and that she held sway over him. She was the powerful character in it. But the impression we got, despite it all, is that there was a sort of native cunning about him.
Donovan did try to paint a picture that he treated Shannon quite well, and it was evident that he had bought clothes for her. And I think he did try to explain that he'd done his best to look after her.
He took her out on at least 3 occasions. He took her out in his car. 2 of those trips out were to the park. He was careful though. He chose to go either at dusk or after dark. When Shannon was in the back of his car, she was to sit there, hood pulled up at all times. It does seem staggering that he felt able to do it, but he did, and nobody noticed. But then, Mick Donovan's life appears to be one of such. Nobody noticed Mick Donovan.
He gave an account that Karen had threatened him and that she'd threatened him with violence and 3 men had threatened him. But quite honestly, that's all we had to link Karen to the offence. There was no telephone communication between the pair of them before or after Shannon's disappearance. There was nothing to implicate her in any way. We didn't think that she was entirely innocent, but we didn't have the grounds to arrest her at that time.